Hello everyone, this is RC0538. Been a while since I've come out with a video, but let's go ahead and give this a shot. So anyways, we are doing a 3v3 on straight the point V full 4v4 version, but you know it works for 3v3s as well. So we got 1979, and I am the noobish pro, and I'm going to be taking the middle section, setting up defensive positions here. It's a very useful defensive position, as you can, of course, intercept anything that's coming across this area, and hit anything coming across that area as well. I'm also going to be putting some infantry and such into the town, but as we can see, the opponents have already fired a first shot off, and they are smirching this intersection. Something I do not notice at the time is I'm busy giving orders up at the front. This is, of course, huge misplay on my part. Now, now I see the defense marker. Holy crap, stormers are going right into the line of fire. And my recon is getting taken out, as well as my units getting damaged. This is again, horrible move on my part. On the other hand, the good news is that we got our Charlie 1 Mark IIIs going this way, and the bulk of my anti-aircraft defense going this way. So we, even if something happens, we'll be fine. But of course, the Charlie 2's been damaged, the Stormers have been panicked. The Milans are fine because they're freaking warriors, and yeah, they just really heavily armored. But, everything's been kind of shaken up. I'm deploying some Chieftain Mark 11s. They're just nice support. I really like them. But, yeah. Anyways. ORG here. Org 32, I guess. I don't want to know what he's maybe going for there. But, anyways, he's set up a KA-52 here. Pretty good place to set it up, as he can try to provide at least any indication of Heli-rush coming to Bravo. None of that would necessarily be useful. Personally, I would have set it up over here. Now, this is something that you don't see a lot, and I do want to call attention to, is the use of interceptors. Now, these units are not used very often in Wargame, at least not in your standard match, but they are extremely useful on large maps like this. Many people don't know this, but they while they do have the same exceptional air detection as everyone else, they can basically see any aircraft that's coming out of spawn. If it's about here, they're gonna spot it, and that's enough time for you to try to launch an intercepting force. So it's a very useful tactic for you to use. We can see that they do have the smarch, what they opened their aggressions with, and yeah, they just barely moved, and they're just probably gonna do fob circles with that. At this point, though, we are deploying AA and other stuff. And cat, let's not do that. Hi. Yes, I do have a cat, and he does want to make himself known in these videos. But anyways, you must know that I'm recording, and he just wants to create trouble. Hi. Anyways, so I'm going to set up the Challenger 1 Mark IIIs over here. Maybe, never mind. I'm going to set them up over here, and the Charlie 2 overwatching this position to use its range to the advantage. And we can see that Mr. Airshow over here is deploying Z9s over here. Now, from this position, they're okay, but they're kind of, not doing anything. At least if we set them over here, well, they're probably at a greater risk of being shot down. They're also actually doing something. They are actually reconning against enemy threats. Right here, really not doing much. They can't really engage any of this stuff. They're just basically there just to screen. Now, ORG has set up with his BTR 80As a team of Spetsnaz GRU. Again, very good move. And we can see 1979 here is setting up a defensive smoke screen, or at least a diversionary smoke screen, trying to make them think that there's a push coming, when in reality that is certainly not the case. And hello, cat. My gosh. Yes, he thinks everything is a claw toy. So of course that's what he's doing. But yeah. So in the meantime, I've got Fusiliers set up, and 79 is getting all of his forces into position. They were slightly lagging behind because of that smirch run, but now they are getting into position. Boy. This is what happens when you don't have hands on the WASD keys and you try to use that to zoom in. Now the Fusiliers, of course, excellent infantry with their, law. Don't need to rave on about that because everyone knows how good they are, basically. But of course, exceptional AT, especially for standard line infantry. takes out the BRDM-3. And I would say that that rush really didn't get him anywhere. If, this is something I have noticed and something I do like to do, but is, if you just rush, some vehicles straight up there. Now, my Rodents might have caught it, but they aren't stabilized, so they also might not have. They might have been able to kill them off. And, perhaps, made it to here. Now, the Chieftains might have gotten to him in some reinforcements, but they might have been able to kill the Haypack, get some VDAAs, and just generally cause havoc in here. Or, he could have tried to get back in here, provide recon on whatever was coming in this way, or maybe try to go after the mortars, assuming he knew where they were. So yeah, there are a lot of options if you can smuggle some units into Charlie. Here you can see a ton of, thin-skinned AA, Crotals, Rapiers, more Crotals, and a Stormer. The Stormer being the only thing that could fight back with its ATGM, and even then, probably not very effectively. We got some ACAVs over here. Probably floated them across. Spain does have that position pretty well under his control at this point. The ACAVs, of course, very nice, infantry support vehicles. I wish that they were. I kind of wish they would remove the recon status and they could go back to being vehicles, because they were so good, such good fire support. I think that they just wanted them to get more use, but I think they kind of get less use when they're lumped in with the Cav Scouts, because personally, I don't see the use of Cav Scouts. I usually don't use them, and I prefer to take Rangers instead. Now, let's see, who is this? This is Capitalist Cookie, and he is pushing up with his hinds, his alligators, and some hips. That's not going to go well, especially when you got a Lafayette. Lafayette, of course, is excellent Crotals. You're 80% accuracy with that range. There is nothing that these hinds can do except try to get in here, and this is interesting that he's got ADGM units, so this could be, in all fairness, light infantry, perhaps Gornostrelkis. Now, we can see, I can't believe I didn't notice this, but these GRU are just sniping away at my Fusiliers, didn't even notice, can't even spot them because of that stealth. Very useful to have snipers. As you can see, they've already shaken the squad. They've killed 3 of them. Oh, and they're killing Bowie. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. That took a different turn. I want to speed it up a bit because not much is going on here. The enemy is calling in a fleet over here. They've got, 3 Jianghus and an Udaloy. And on this side, we've got KA-27s, Helis. And sadly, we missed it, but there's another large air battle. I got the Big 31M, but that does leave them still with their other aircraft. Trying to scramble the SU-27s in response, but again, at this point, there's not much they can do. And one lone ATGM plane, or ASM plane, is not going to pierce a Lafayette, especially ones that have all of their missiles. Even this one with just 3 still has a pretty decent chance of destroying it, and because, of course, their excellent ECM combined with their stealth, not likely this guy's going to see it until it's too late. Now, Aslavs are spawning in over here. Not obviously not a very good place to spawn in, and I'm trying to save up so we can actually deal with this issue. Because yes, this can spawn camp us. This could really do damage to our defenses, especially if we let it. We got some TOW2 Jeeps over here. And yeah, we got the GRU, which I have marked. I wonder how accurately. Yep, same building. Perfect. I do have these AVREs, which could be useful in dealing with them, but I am not aware of what support they might be having over here, so I have not done that yet. Meanwhile, we can see that the ORG-32 is bringing in T-62 MV1s. Now, these are very nice tanks. I think the T-62 gets a bad rap. Obviously, it's not really a great tank, to be honest. However, there is a caveat. This T-62 is a very durable, in a way, ATGM sniper vehicle. If you use it as a frontline combat unit, it's going to struggle against other tanks. And why is that? Well, that's because it's a very, very poor rate of fire. Darn it, I can't move it. But the nice thing about it is, you do have high armor penetration, The accuracy, especially if you're using an armor deck, is going to be pretty high on the gun, and especially on the AGM, which is what you're really getting this thing for. And the Arcane missile is a very fast missile. Well, personally, I like to put them right about here. So when enemy tanks come across, you can just side shot them with those Arcane missiles with their long range and high speed. Got an Anafa coming in, bringing in some more Hapek, capping Charlie. And we can see that Spain is setting up a decent AA network of Stingers. This is just really to delay if there's a major Heli-rush, which, no spoilers, but we will see. These guys will do what they can to stop that. But also importantly, sometimes you'll see people try to seize these buildings. It's really not the most successful strategy on this map, but you will see people do it, and being able to intercept them just saves yourself the headache of trying to clear out India, and can net yourself a lot of points. Now Spain is sending in his Tomcats. Beautiful plane. Going to engage the 5-bow, and here we can see the advantage of the insane range of the F-14 Tomcat. Let's see, 2 hits, and yeah, no kills so far, but that second volley, yep, and it's going down. That is the trade-off that you get with interceptors, is the missiles aren't the most likely to hit, but when they do hit, they will, they're very likely to put the plane out of commission for a long time, with that 8 HE power, or, if a critical, instantly killing it. And if they don't get it with the long-range missile, then if you deploy them in larger groups, you might be able to get a second hit on it, and obviously kill at an extended range, where these Su-27 SKs, for example, can't really do much about it, and they have to close the distance. In the meantime, I'm bringing in just more. So I'm pushing these FV-432s up into here just to provide covering support. My defense over here is not heavy. It would be, not to say easy for them to break through, but I wouldn't consider it that difficult either. Apparently Tony Blair has taken to the front with his with this an ATGM unit. Oh boy, these jokes just make themselves. We got the Territorials up front. They're just here to kind of absorb the damage, and they do have, of course, the M72 Law, being very useful for dealing with stuff, and they can fire it off pretty quickly. What you'll see a lot of times with reservists is they'll get really, really startled. They'll just sort of stop firing at an effective rate. The M72 Law allows them to just keep firing, and really, if these guys are running out of ammo, then you're retreating them because they have well exceeded their value. We have the FV-432 pushing up, and we can see they've got some Skrejets, the Afghansky, and the T-62 MV1. Nice defense here. T-62s are covering this route, so I can't just flank around with some LCMs or something. They're also here to snipe, try to snipe at least any vehicles coming across that bridge, which they certainly can do from this position. And yeah, they got the GRU set up. Alright, now, in case you're wondering what decks everyone's using, I should have gone over that. I'm using a Nubish Pro, I'm using a UK armor deck. I know, very creative. 1979 is using what you could call a Southern African motorized deck. It's not like any one nation. Consider it like a Southern African coalition. And we've got Spain, which is using a, whatever it's called, a NORAD support deck that specializes in artillery and attackums. Now that's fun. But as we can see here, the branch, or I think is how you pronounce it, has survived the encounter with the Pumas and downed a sizable number of them. Let's see, we got a couple there. And as we can see, the enemy is now realizing the naval threat and looking to counter it on its own, and they are bringing in Sovereignties and Udaloy. Big threat, not fun. Meanwhile, on the right flank, enemy's got their Udaloys, a very damaged Jianghu, and another Jianghu on the far right. I'm going out with my F-18s and intruders. F-18s, I find, are very nice because they do only have 2 missiles, which is basically the perfect amount, in my opinion. And the other thing is the Udaloy has abandoned its Jianghu support, So, and they're coming in from a nice echelon formation, so all of these are coming at it more or less at the same time, and the radar antenna is crippled. Now, this is just an example of bad luck for Airshow here, because now the intruders are coming in to finish the job. With the radar crippled, it's not going to be firing off any of its seaweeds. It is now relying on its escort ships, and that is the end of that destroyer. Meanwhile, the JQ has taken damage because of the explosions, and yeah, and that is the end of that Oodaloi. So that's the fleet's main AA protection, or not AA rather, missile detection, the defenses, destroyed. And now, you know, we've just got these Su-27 SKs providing that support. Also, it's interesting he's saying these get trained, especially to get 4 of them. Makes sense for a long, protracted game, but I would prefer to take the 3 and give that in increased accuracy, unless they were like the only plane I bring. Enemies not too eager to make many moves in the middle. Lines, again, are pretty stabilized. We're both dug in here pretty well. Not likely either of us are going to push each other out. Now, he does have 2 T-90s in what I would call a very curious position. Personally, I don't like putting heavy tanks in here because I don't know what it is, but for some reason the how the terrain is, you know, I find it's very difficult for you to engage at that maximum range. So I like to put medium tanks in here, and then keep my super heavies over here for the same reason I like to have the TC-2s over there, so that way they can snipe at the sides. And if they push up over here, boom, 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 it's dealing with that side armor, much easier to punch through, greater likelihood for one-shot kills. So yeah. I'm going to speed this up here. Enemy is going in with a really interesting composition. At this point, they're probably just desperate to try to thin out as much of our Navy as they can with their J7s. A lot of them get picked off, however. And I go in with the Eurofighter, but call it off, so I do not want to lose it. In the meantime, they do send in Seed. Now, Seed can kind of work as a sort of substitute, but it's not great. And then we've got these MiG-27s. Not very great as well, but, you know, again, can get the job done, especially for some of these damaged Lafayes, which they most certainly are damaged. Spain's Eagles are going out, though. They're going to make short work of these MiG-27s with, yeah, that's that gone. Meanwhile, we are down to 3 Lafayettes. And he's taken these at, I believe, at the hardened level, where you only get 2, and yeah, that one's dead. At this point, these ships are basically just doomed. They're not going to deal that well against the Oodaloi, and especially not as well against the horde of Janku. So this is, in a way, the what I would consider the prudent move, even if it is certain death. It's certain death either way. Might as well do as much damage, especially when you've got another ASM run coming in, of course, by myself. Now, we did have some miscommunication dealing with Sovereign Many. That also is partially blamed why these Lafayettes didn't hold up as well, but they were likely not going to survive this anyways. However, of course, you know, we are dealing with, yeah, a lot of enemies. Oodaloi is panicked. It's not going to do too well. Meanwhile, I forget to evac the intruders in time, and we do have these Su-27s engaging, and they are flying right over it, and by now the Lafayettes are suffering from their main flaw, their lack of crotals. They run through these pretty quickly, and as we can see, they weren't able to do much damage with their autocannons and main guns. So yeah, that was disappointing. However, of course, we did get the Oodaloi, and I will trade, you know, that, you know, each of those. So yeah, and the Lafayettes are again sadly going down. And yeah, now they've got another group of Nushkas coming in. They're just going to seal the deal. So yeah, not a good place for us navally right now. On the other hand, the enemy has brought in a Sovereign Many on the right, and that is ORG down. So I now believe that it's just, it might just be Cookie and Airshow, or actually I think Airshow has yet to go. Meantime, we have located their command unit, so going to try to deal with that. This is a pretty viable tactic, by the way. Ships obviously can be targeted by anti-ship missiles, And yeah, and of course the enemy is very interested in securing this island. They have tasked 50 Spetsnaz in order to secure this from the vehicle, from, us. And they, again, with what we've got right here, right now, Spetsnaz aren't going to have much trouble. Now, usually Spetsnaz will have trouble against armored vehicles, but in this situation, they are damaged and they are panicked. Not exactly the best situation to be in for dealing with it. And now we can see the end game, at least, for Cookie. At least his super plan. At this point, they are pushing in these T-90s. Not these Legion, but they are pushing in the T-90s. And this is a very, very bad move. First off, leading the push with super heavies is usually not a good idea unless you want to lose said super heavies. What I like, putting them in the middle where they can provide the most support to your fodder units. It's usually the best. That way your fodder units can close the distance and they can do the damage, while the T-90s can stay back and lay the hits on. Meanwhile, this is also bad because there is something called an ATGM plane. Just all it has to do is fly in and get a couple of shots on them, and they're going to be pretty damaged, if not completely destroyed. And also, these are the only super heavies that he has, considering Airshow is using a Red Dragons deck, it seems. So yeah, real tight spot. I guess I missed it, but I did use these Centurion Averys. You can see all these shell holes. This is not artillery. This is the power of the AVRE and the power of fire pause. Yes, I am petting you, cat. Anyways, so yeah, very powerful unit. Wiped out the GRU and didn't take too much damage. But now, of course, I see the tanks coming in. And these AVRE are not going to do too well against it directly. But I'm going to slow down this engagement. But what we can see is they're going to be able to stun and just generally panic the enemies. And we can see it wasn't even a high-end Challenger 1 Mark III that gets a kill. It's a Chieftain Mark 10, just showing you how, of course, by flanking shot, using your units in a way that doesn't take into account their armor and such, is going to get them killed, even to a unit that is half the price. It did bring in a group of Tornado GR1s. I don't actually have tank snipers in this deck, but again, wouldn't have mattered much. Just could have clustered this area and done significant damage. And we can see what is shaping up to be quite a Heli-rush. Let's see how many Akulas. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Akulas. 2 KA-52s. Let's see how many. 4 Mi-28s. 5 Mi-28s. No, 6 Mi-28s. That's my fault. Then, there's the 4th Akula. And 5th Akula. So, yeah. Bottom line, ton of helis. And, of course, this is a pretty common tactic on this map. Yep, and we can see even more coming in. More Mi-8s. More Hinds. More Hinds. More Janghus. More Hinds. And at this point, going in with another ASM run. This one not lined up as good as the other ones, but nonetheless, still a certainly capable force. Boom, boom, boom. Line them up, knock them down. And that is the Janghu down. And that's generally the strategy you want to employ when dealing with naval threats, is take out what is on the outer edges. If you try to go for like the Sovereign Many directly and say he has these 2 Janghus right here, these 2 Janghus are going to engage the whole way. The missiles are going to keep traveling, and the Janghus are going to keep engaging the missiles, and it's not going to be effective in the slightest. Meanwhile, the Heli-rush is coming in. Now, this is one area that we have not fortified, and yeah, we can see just the massive swarm. Maybe I'll have to edit in Ride of the Valkyries over this as we play, but yeah, we can see just the insane amount of helicopters. There is basically no amount of planes in the world that are going to stop something like this. that is kind of the problem with the Heli-rush itself, is that it's, not to say unstoppable, but it's very, very difficult to stop. The clusters, I overshot, managed to get a couple of kills, but nothing substantial, especially not in the face of this. We do have some Stormers and some ADATs laid out, and that is taking care of some of these very high-end helicopters, which we are prioritizing to the best of our ability. Havoc just went down. Grizzly is opening fire. Crotal's coming in. Zifa's coming in. Barrage is coming in. Everything that has a gun or any sort of capability to engage these helis coming in. Just trying to do as much damage as possible. CS tearing apart, but also getting just, of course, torn apart by this massive swarm. And here comes the second wave of the supporting infantry. And we are, of course, running out of missiles because there are just so many helicopters. At this point, he lands a ton of command infantry to make sure that he does have control of the zone. And that means no more air support from us. And that means all we have to call in units from is Delta. It's a very vulnerable position. Now he goes ahead, moves in with only some of his remaining units, and this is where he makes his fatal flaw. Very fatal flaw. And I have lost the AS-90s, which was a big loss considering we don't have much artillery left. But he is pushing in with these Mi-4s, trying to sweep the last of our defenders, but by now we know what is coming. So we can reorient and adjust accordingly. APAC are very much exposed. Very much exposed. But, nevertheless, we are dealing with this Heli-rush. Boom, 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 and my forces are down. And the CV that I was sending to retake this is now able to come in and retake Delta for us. Meanwhile, using the mortars, which are in range of the base to shell what we do have eyes on, or at least a decent idea of where it is. KA-52s, KA-50s, all stuff that we want dead. Now, this is where, at this point in the match, usually you'll see players try to kind of spam one type of unit and try to get victory. Believe me, I've done the same thing. We've all done it. Problem is of course, if you are not targetable by ATGM, this rush is going to do nothing to you. It's probably going to fail. So, yeah, not a particularly good maneuver. Meanwhile, pushing in these Crotals, do some damage. He's even brought in some of his other units. He's just pushing through. He's going to try to sweep and take Juliet, flying right over the infantry and doing so. And we've got a whole battery of Stingers ready to do damage, as well as ADATs and other very nice anti-helicopter weapons sitting there. This is not going to be the best day for him. That is certain. And even then, even if he takes this zone, he has spawned basically all of his helicopters and helicopter infantry. In the meantime, did a raid with my what's its names? With my Lynx 20 mils, you can see that they were able to kill most of the command vehicle infantry, but by now it's but yeah, it doesn't matter. Is trying to target this with mortars. Mortars, since they don't have a line of sight, are not going to be accurate enough. Just one guy might have been able to get it, but by now we have bigger fish to fry. We have several BRDM-2s with Conquerors coming in, and that is of course, big problem for the tanks. Again, these Conquerors don't have stabilizers, so they're not going to be the most effective at dealing with them unless they stop, which they certainly do, but not before the Chieftains kill more of them. At this point, big problems are afoot, and he has decided to push in the fleet. Now, in desperate times, tanks are a very effective tool for dealing with sovereigns, or for that matter, ships. They usually have the range to engage them once they're within, range to engage the shore. And importantly, they have the armor to stand up to these Charlie 1 Mark IIs especially. Now they could have a bit more AP power, but that's just a bit of that would just be a bit of a bonus because they don't need it to pierce the armor. Piercing the armor of ships is pretty easy, to be honest. Meanwhile, we've got auto cannon fire, just trying to pummel it as best we can. But yeah, of course, Salvermany making quick work of those light armored vehicles, but providing valuable distraction for the 1 Mark IIs. And in the meantime, Conquerors are still on the rise. Very desperate, very dangerous position, and the Challenger 1 Mark IIs managed to kill the Salvermany off. Excuse me. Dealing with that threat. Meaning that they can now focus on the 1 Mark IIs, as well as these Chieftain Mark 11s and these Gazettes. And he is making it very, very close, but again, because this is not a combined push, it isn't the most effective. Now, if he had sent in some VDV in here, holy crap, he might have been able to completely wipe the floor with this, get this rover CP, cut off the roof so the SAPAC couldn't get back, and yeah, that pretty much would have been game right there. I mean, we could have fought on, but it would have been pretty much hopeless at that point. Now he's pushing across with VDV. Thing is, though, these things called Corps Mariniers, and even more importantly, M163 CS. Just, my gosh. Yeah, oh my gosh. There are just moments when, you just gotta wonder why these units are used more. But yeah, when they're put in a situation where they can succeed, yeah, the results speak for themselves. Now we can see the massive BMD, push gearing up. Chieftains are engaging stragglers, as well as the 1 Mark IIs coming up. And I'm going to try to push through here and take out Golf, at least neutralize it. Meanwhile, still has not combined this with an assault from the front, even though he is certainly more than capable of doing that, considering the... Well, I do have AA up here, and we do have AA, but it's just not going to be the most effective against another combined push. Pretty weak defenses up here, all things considered. We got some 1 Mark IIIs, Charlie 2s, and all that. But against all the forces he could bring to bear, wouldn't matter much. That point is just the amount of guns that you can bring to the battle. But he is preparing another Heli-rush with his recon transports. That is the one nice thing about the Soviets, not to say the only nice thing, but certainly a bonus, is that you get helicopter gunships with your infantry. By now, of course, the command infantry has repaired themselves with the available supplies that they've captured from us. The whole heck of a lot of supplies, considering we're trying to resupply a ton of ATACMS and M109s. And yeah, now I have deployed, we've deployed Panzerkeep and bringing in some Fusiliers, and it is just about who can shoot it at this point. Tehran 5, again, all these units bravely trying to hold the line against the massive swarms of VDV-90, all in single stacked, interestingly. But yeah, we can see brave airborne assault. This is insane. Absolutely insane. But yeah. Yep. None of the BMDs are pushing through here. This is a very smart move, just trying to outflank the defenses. But yeah, now we've got the I Shermans, of course, and AX-13 FL-15s. Very nice units for suppressing I Shermans. Hey, maybe from pretty much the 73, but 1973, and the Sherman, of course, which it's based from significantly earlier. But at the end of the day, it is still a gun. And that is kind of what matters in this situation. Well, we've got a 15-point run pushing through, some AMX-13s, and the Territorials just moving to clear out this position. And 20 minutes left in the replay. And now we can see the Nona SVK spam. Of course, not joking. Huge problem considering that these chieftains are out of fuel, or about to run out now, out of fuel. Yeah, it's a big problem playing UK is that while the autonomy is decent, it's not the best. And yeah, especially when you got this many Nonas. It's a lot of Nonas, let me tell you. Especially of the 60-point variety. It's a lot. They are... Excuse me, I don't want to look at the Spetsnaz. They are very accurate. They're very tight dispersion for 120mm mortar. Even have an AP gun for direct fire. Not that I recommend using that, it does have it, and a machine gun. He's trying to do some bombing runs here, but we've got a stinking group of RBS-70 which is sniping them, and yeah, it's not exactly fun. Meanwhile, the pushes that we're attempting across here are just getting sniped by AA, or not by AA, rather by air support. And yeah, trying to do what we can. Stinger stay out another SU-25. And while it may be out of rockets, of course, is not out of its KH-25s. So yeah, that's another issue. Interesting choices. Got the MiG-29S and the other version, the cluster bomber version. This got a lot of veterancy on it too, but it's got 4 500-kilogram bombs, making it not a bad HE bomber. Do think it's a little pricey considering that the Dutch now have an F-16, which basically has the same loadout, but is at 120 points, and maybe this one has a bit more ECM. But yeah, very nice and accurate bomber, though, if you just need to take out a small group of infantry. Moving around the Nonas, though, because you probably can't get anything tougher. And then, yeah, we've got MBT-70s and Chieftain Marksmen, and yeah, your helicopters aren't going to stand up to that. And in case anyone was curious, Svedka and Spetsnaz VMF. At this point, found the Nonas, and Spain is bringing in the MBT-70s to deal with that. We might interestingly see the use of those AP guns, or not, if they don't stop, in which case it's not going to really matter. One Mark II is trying to snipe the Strela 10s, and he's doing a pretty decent job at it, and we can see the excellent abilities of the Su-25 as a multi-role, I guess multi-target vehicle, unlike the Su-25T, which has the gun, but can't really effectively engage infantry and other light vehicles. MiG-29 going in, taking a lot of ground fire, evacing out, and replay is getting close to finishing. Meanwhile, just keeping the RBS-70 and attack them supplies so that way they can take out high priority targets. Chieftain's coming in. You can guess the result, though. I guess you could say I'm just being a bit insane here, trying the same thing again and again and again. However, we are reconning this position and applying pressure when that needs to be applied. He doesn't have many forces left. Of course, when I say that, he brings in a whole, more than even a company, at least, 2 or 3 companies of Spetsnaz? So, yeah. Let's see what he's got. Let's just count here. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24 squads, which means, yeah, a lot of units. All of which, all those being, yeah, pretty much 40 stacks, or at least somewhat depleted 40 stacks, or 4 stacks, so yeah. My gosh, it's that a lot of infantry. At this point, though, this is why you do not leave this open at under any circumstance. because you will get spawn camped, and this is a very, very easy place to spawn camp. If you're about to lose this point, you put all the infantry you can in that building block. Meantime, I've wised up and realized, you know how you counter planes is by putting AA there, except these tractor peers haven't seemed to figure that out yet. But they do get that SU-25T, which is, of course, very welcome. Meanwhile, holy crap, is that a lot of Spetsnaz. So, yep. And you can guess what we're using. We're using a couple of Chieftain Mark 10s, and a couple of 8 Scandinavian transports with freaking, machine guns. Probably haven't seen service since World War I. I wouldn't recommend it, but you know what? At this point, a gun is a gun. Pumas are, again, trying to provide support, but the spec says even just with an HE, their napalm launcher, just going through these thinly skinned armored vehicles, like no one's business. That being said, though, they are down to a lot less units, and at that point, sneaky green jackets on my part managed to destroy his command unit. He does have some, but at this point, he can't deploy any of that. At least not from a really good position. He can call it in from over here, but I'm afraid that is a bit too little too late. And yeah, you can see the rare inside of Jianghu there if you want to freeze the screen. And that is pretty much game at this point. Appears have survived but run out of fuel. Meanwhile, managed to retake our spawn. For your GR3s coming in, and we do have at this point air support. Do drop a little bit short there, not realizing quite where they are, and I'm bringing in the Centurions, but at this point, again, there's not much you can do. He can try to break through the front, but he doesn't exactly have the units for that, being an airborne deck, and that is game. Let's see, 79 and I pretty much tied for losses. Spain taking the lowest losses, also having the lowest kills, but 37% of the command points, 31% of the kills, 36% of the casualties, not bad. We can see Blue 4 did fare pretty well, a lot of units getting it seems to not have shown my own, but oh well. Anyways, that was a long match of Straight to the Point that I had a couple days ago, so yeah. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe for more content from Couch Commander, and I do plan on doing maybe a Let's Play on Thrawn's Revenge 2.2 once it comes out. So yeah. Alright, everyone, have a good day.